Usova et Alexander Zhulin, équipe
Often the
unifiée.
starting order of a competition in dance stays the same from the compulsory dances, but that wasn't the case at last year's World Championships when Maya Usova and Alexander Zhulin won both the compulsory dances, yet finished in the third and bronze medal position.
Requirements that the judges are looking for, and one of them is expression. And I think Alexander and Maya are by far one of the most expressive dance teams in this competition. We're watching them execute the first of two compulsory dances. This is the Paso Doble, and the second dance we'll see a little later is the Blues.
Something else the judges are looking for is the unison, and with Maya and Sasha, they probably have the best unison we will see here today. They give us a feeling of one out there as opposed to two dancers.
They were the silver medalists at the European Championships and finished second in both of the compulsory dances, and one of those was the Paso Doble, Maya Usova and Alexander Zhulin of Moscow.
Well, as well as expression and unison, another thing they're looking for is placement of the feet. The feet have got to be accurately placed according to the steps which are laid down in the rule book. Nice extension, as you can see in that replay.
Fourth couple out of 19 to skate here with their coach Natalia Dubova. And there are the marks. The unified team judge has given them the highest mark at 5-8. The rest 5, 6s, and 7s. Usova and Zhulin have the early lead. Here are the European bronze medalists from Odessa in the Ukraine, but now training in Moscow. Oksana, Grishuk, and Evgeni Platov. They were fourth at last year's World Championships, and they train under Natalia Dubova.
In this dance are one of the most important parts. They do quite good ones. They must be on outside edges, and many of the teams you'll find are skating on flats on the cross rolls. They seem to get nice outside edges.
Well, you have to be patient in dance competition and make your move up the ladder slowly, and being seated behind Klimova, Ponomarenko, and Usova Zhulin over the years. They are about to break into their own, I'm sure, in the next year or two when those top two Russian teams move on.
That is, if they move on.
The opportunity to compete in 2 Olympic Games in the span of 24 months is something that might keep a lot of these skaters in and active for the next 24 months.
There's Natalia Dubova. And the judges not wasting any time with the marks for Grishuk and Platov. And there they are, 5-4s up to 5-6s, and they move into second place behind their countrymen Usova and Zhulin. Here's what all the excitement's about. Paul and Isabelle Duchesnay, the transplanted Canadians now, getting set for their first compulsory dance, and this building is abuzz.
Well, I would have to think that they've got to be just a little bit nervous out there. This is the first time they've been in a competition environment since last year's World Championships in Munich, and here they are at the Olympic Games in front of their home country.
They were third in both compulsory dances at last year's World Championships, and they went on to win gold.
Isabelle and Paul performed this same dance on practice this morning. It seems they're quite a bit tighter here this afternoon. They can't quite relax, but it's no wonder why.
I thought they skated the dance well, but certainly I think the word conservative would be a proper adjective for the way they performed it.
Well, even 3 days ago when they first arrived for their very first practice, compulsory dances, there were thousands in the building, and they had the same kind of cheering section that day, and the flowers coming down for even compulsory dances.
And every time they would skate around past the crowd, they would clap and cheer, and that's got to be a little unnerving at times.
Well, they've always loved being crowd pleasers, but I'm sure they'd be the first to admit that compulsory dances shouldn't get the fans this excited. Here come the marks, and the judges apparently like them as much as the fans. Those marks from 5 of the 9 judges are higher than Usova, Zhulin, so the Duchesnays have moved into first place.
5-7, 5-6, 5-7, 5-6, 5-8,
84 bronze medalists, 88 silver medalists. Here, trying to win gold in 92. They were the gold medalists at the European Championships in Lausanne, winning both compulsory dances. But last year they did have problems at the Worlds.
Well, last year they really didn't have the confidence. It was almost as though they knew they were about to go down. This year they've come in, though. She's had a grin from ear to ear all week long, been practicing well and very confident. Good outside edges on the cross rolls there. They just seem to really be attacking this dance, have a real Paso feel.
Well, they certainly have come out with a lot more determination and a lot more aggression than they did last year at Munich, because they certainly struggled through the compulsories there, but this is a far more determined looking team out there today.
Klimova and Ponomarenko, and this is going to be very interesting. We thought the Duchesnays had moved into first place. They were listed first on the computer. However, in a very rare event, one of the judges, the judge from Czechoslovakia, gave a first place ordinal to both the Duchesnays and Usova, Zhulin, so there actually is a tie for first right now, and it will be very interesting to see where the judges put this next program from Klimova and Ponomarenko.
Well, all 3 of those top dances were very strong, but I'd have to say that Klimova and Ponomarenko had the best paso, the best attack of the dance.
Tatiana Tarasova is the coach. She's delighted. There are the marks. They have 8 first-place marks, but the real development The French judge has them seated fourth, so we're getting political judging of the worst kind here, of 5-4 from the French judge, while the 8 other judges have them ranked first. Klimova, Ponomarenko are first. The Duchesnays now drop to third, as Usova, Zhulin are in second place.
Grishuk, Evgeni, Platov.
Fourth after the first compulsory dance, here are Oksana, Grishuk, a 20-year-old, and Evgeni Platov, 24 years of age, from the unified team.
As we watch this team perform this dance, they've got such wonderfully long legs and they match so beautifully throughout the entire dance.
As I mentioned, the deep knee bends are very important in this dance, and I'd have to say that this team is very, very proficient in that area. It's a very soft and gentle dance. Good expression.
That's the number 3 team from the unified team, Oksana, Grishuk, and Evgeni Platov. A lot of talk about judging at any dance competition. In Calgary, the first 13 spots did not change from the opening compulsory dance to the free dance. And it looks like the judges are going according to protocol from last year's World Championships. There hasn't been much change from that so far to what we've seen here.
The encouraging thing, though, out of Munich last year was the fact that the Duchesnays did move from third out of the compulsories to win the World Championship.
Marks for the team of Grishuk, Platov are the first place marks right across the board for the second compulsory, but it is early in this second compulsory dance.
5-4, 5-5.
Second compulsory dance for the Duchesnays, and let's see if they look more relaxed during their blues dance.
Well, they will have to be relaxed in order to do this dance successfully, because you've got to let your knees do the work through the blues. That's paramount in this particular compulsory dance.
And that's the first thing to go when you're nervous. There's a flower on the ice and they can be very close to skating over it. It's very dangerous. Already, I must say they look much more relaxed on this dance.
It looks like the butterflies are gone, but the fans like that one just as much. The Duchesnays in third after the compulsory dance, and watch for judge number 6. I can just about guarantee that will be the highest mark on the board here. And if there was one flower on the ice during the program, there are many more now.
Well, that's really shocking that somebody would actually throw a flower on the ice and risk them falling.
In fact, you see them go down to get that flower, make sure that everything's picked up. Usually the skaters go right to the kiss and cry area. And here come the marks. 5-8 from both the French and the Italian judges. First place marks across the board so far, with their 2 Russian rivals still to come. Well, if the battle lines hadn't been drawn before, they certainly are now, with Marina Klimova and Sergei Ponomarenko winning the first compulsory dance, but seeing a French judge on the panel, which they're lining up right in front of, placing them 4th. Would that play on their minds at all as they take to the ice for the second compulsory dance?
Well, you wonder if they even know. Their coach probably knows for sure, but she may have just chosen to wait until the end of this compulsory to tell them. The fact that they're sitting in first, I'm sure they're still quite confident.
As I watch Sergei and Marina perform this dance, my initial reaction is that their knees are just a little bit more subtler than Isabelle and Paul. They just seem to be talking to me a little bit more.
But they don't seem to have the expression. Maybe they're attacking it too much. It's not quite, the expression in this dance has to be very subtle, and I find that with them they have a hard time conveying that.
So with the judges up here mixed on it, it's going to be interesting to see the marks for these as they compare to the Duchesnays.
Well, I noticed as they took their starting position, it was right in front of the French judge, and Marina gave her a glare that you wouldn't believe.
Oh, the reaction from the crowd is certainly subdued, in contrast to that of the Duchesnays, and that was expected prior to the competition. Marina Klimova and Sergei Ponomarenko, the Duchesnays with first place marks right across the board for this second compulsory dance. The judges not wasting any time coming up with these marks. And here they are, 5-8s and 5-9s, 9 first place marks, including a 5-9 from the French judge, and I wonder if she got a message after her first mark for Klimova and Ponomarenko. Second after the Paso Doble, here again are Maya Usova and Alexander Zhulin. They were married in 1986. They were third after the... Oh, I blew that, sorry. Barb, there's really not much room on the judges' marking here between the Duchesnays and Klimova and Ponomarenko. They'll have to be perfect to win this.
There isn't much room, and it's disappointing because watching this dance on practice this morning, they're really in a class by themselves on this one.
If you were to take your hand and cover up the lower part of their bodies and just watch their shoulders, they're so smooth that you can hardly tell when they push and take a step. There's just so smooth the motion throughout every step they take.
there's never any separation between the two bodies. They're very solid.
That was a delight to watch. They just move across that ice smooth as silk. I think, like you mentioned, Barb, probably the nicest blues out here today.
Even the French fans responding to that, but again, the marks were so high for Klimova Ponomarenko that there's really nowhere for the judges to go unless we see sixes.
Well, it's almost as though the judges already know who they want to place first, and that's the disappointing part about ice dancing.
Marks for unified team.
Well, there are the marks, and they were able to shoehorn their way in between Klimova Ponomarenko and the Duchesnays. Second place marks from 5 of the 9 judges, and so that gets them ahead of the Duchesnays. Klimova Ponomarenko winning this second compulsory dance. Usova Zhulin second in both dances, and the Duchesnays third in both compulsories.
Thank you.
So the unified team occupying 3 of the top 4 places going into tomorrow's original programs.